I mean, I left sport because I was gay.
I think people do feel pressure to hide their sexuality.
I didn't perform at my best because I was hiding who I was.
Why is their personal life a matter of debate and conversation?
This is Fresh Perspectives, a show where we get new perspectives on the social issues that affect modern society. Our contributors will play a game where they pick out a statement. If they agree, they will walk to the agree side and state their reasons why. If they disagree, they will walk to the disagree side and state the reasons why. This is all in order to unify across the different perspectives.
Labels pro versus amateur creates division in sport. I pick neutral because I don't think it creates division as such. I think it just labels people where they are, if that makes sense. Like there's like categories of how people play and like the length that they've reached, and that's just kind of explanation of where they are, as opposed to dividing people from being a professional versus an amateur.
I didn't look at divider as a negative thing. I was just
Yeah.
like, it does what it says.
Yeah.
It's setting the boundaries of what is to expect at that level. So maybe I'll kind of slide
Come on over.
between the two.
Even if it is pro or amateur, it's still a category within the overarching theme of sports. I think that's actually divisive. Yes, they can exist within their subcategories, but I still think it's divisive.
Is it about the performance in sport, or is it about money making? And that line gets very dodgy, I think. And really, to me, the most important thing about sport is the health and wellness, the fun, who you meet, the connections. So that's why I love this topic, because how can sport do more unify than divide? And I think the amateur pro really is more divisive. Yeah. Pick another one.
Let's go for it.
All right.
The sports industry is a culture of misogyny and predominantly white perspective.
I guess as a white man, would you like to start? No, joking.
Sure. No, I think historically there's definitely been, it is a true statement, but I think I play for a gay GA team. I think there are, in the modern day, a lot of sports teams who are breaking those barriers, but I do think sport is an avenue for change. We'll come back to that later, I'm sure. But I think I'm part of a team that is moving in the direction of societal change. So I think I only partially agree.
Your statement makes me agree more. The fact that there's a label of a gay team makes it stand out from what the norm is. Yeah. So if the norm is misogynistic or heterosexual or whatever, I know we're bringing in a bunch of stuff into it, that would lead me to agree with this statement, but in the sense that we're currently in a move away from what the historical kind of standards started off as.
I think sports is the breeding ground for change. Now, how quickly that change happens and if it happens is debatable. And I think contextually, if you look at different countries as well, the rules are normally set by men, the people that are actually playing, saying, hey, we want representation, not just for the sake of representation and what our physical abilities are capable of, or what we can do, but it's also a case of we're not just numbers playing, we're not team players, we're also humans, and that requires change.
Slay.
How many times I had to go in the back door as a female to play at a club, and how many times I walked into clubs where you walk in and you're surrounded by pictures of old white men. It still happens today. So I just think more needs to be done in terms of making, yes, there's the gender, but we need to make sport open for everyone here in Ireland.
Let's do it.
Professional players don't feel pressure to hide their sexual orientation.
Why is it professional players, or just anyone who chooses to engage in team sports, why is their personal life a matter of debate and conversation? At least from my perspective, I find that also very dehumanizing, is that if they feel pressure to hide who they well and truly are, that means they do not fit inside the structure, which I disagree with.
A story in this book, and the story just talks about how, for me, I feel like I didn't perform at my best because I was hiding who I was. And it is unfortunate that, particularly, again, I'm going to throw out the gender piece, because so often I remember the little coverage of women's sports that there was oh, zoom in, husband, child, you know. Think about and how many athletes wear makeup when they play. How do you be assertive and powerful, but yet you have to be feminine? So there's still a lot of that expectations around masculinity and femininity in sport.
I think people do feel pressure to hide their sexuality because there's an expectation that if they're not of a certain social norm, then they need to announce it. But I think within sport, it's regardless of what you are or who you are or whatever way your sexuality is, like even with you telling us, there shouldn't be like penalty to you telling us who you are.
I mean, I left sport because I was gay, and I was like, I do not feel comfortable coming out here. I don't fit in. There's no space for gay men in sport, and I mean, I'm sure most minorities have echoes of something similar growing up. And I think while the original problem was acceptance, now I think there's like pressure to be a role model and a perfect role model.
Yeah.
Back to the
Question.
gender.
Sports is more inclusive now due to inclusive sportswear.
Sports is more inclusive because of the surge in inclusive sportswear. I paraphrase that horribly.
The only word you changed was surge. I don't think sports is more inclusive. I think sportswear is more inclusive. Whoa, mic drop, let's go.
Boom, we need a mic here. Boom. Okay.
Rewind back to
For Muslim women, there's the swimming outfits, which there
got
was a
me.
full, there was a 2-page ad in the Irish News, Irish Times. But what we have to do is not just have the clothing, but show that it's okay to wear a full garment when you swim, or that you can have comfortable. A U.S. fencer was the first woman to win a medal in a hijab. So we have to make it more comfortable and welcome people, whatever they're wearing.
I think I was looking at this more in terms of progress. I completely agree that there are, like, that is completely valid, but I was just looking at, like, yes or no, has any form of inclusive sportswear helped inclusion? And I think the white short is what came to mind. For women, I can't remember the exact figure, sorry, I don't have the data. But like
sure
a
you got it.
huge portion of women lead sport because of white shorts.
100%.
And like, I mean, Ireland, rain, see-through, and then like stress over a period, drippage.
Who said the word?
But like, and I think that has kept women I know playing sport, a simple change. So I'm not denying that, I actually agree, so I am probably more neutral, but I just think there has been positive movement because of this.
It's never one size fits all, right? So it's like what solves the problem for me might actually create a problem for you. And it's being able to have, all of us are coming from different backgrounds, being able to share those perspectives and being like, okay, is there a way that we can find something that helps me that doesn't impede you?
Female or non-binary trans athletes are given the same opportunities.
We can speak about non-binary, trans, but there's still a perception of what someone looks like as to where they fit, how tall, how strong. If someone is wanting to play sport and they're more masculine looking, they'll probably be able to be more included, whatever gender. If they're more feminine, I think would be less included. And this is just my own personal opinion.
There should be more sport which is inclusive in the sense, like not inclusive. I don't know how we drifted so far away from the fact that sport is for everyone to play and come play. It doesn't matter who you are, how you choose to identify. That's why I chose to stay neutral, because I don't think they have the same opportunities as the standard. I think new opportunities are created for trans athletes and non-binary athletes, which might not necessarily be applicable to the standard. So I can't say that it's the same opportunities. I think it's new opportunities, but also no opportunities as well. So I think it's a completely different sliding scale of opportunity. It needs to be looked at differently, and I think that's the problem as well. You can't say it's the same standard.
If it at one day in whatever world we decide to live in flips on its head and it's the other way around, where women or female and non-binaries have more opportunities, I think it's not level. Like even between ourselves, we've taken different parts of the sentence and made it mean something else. So in everything we can agree that there's something missing, or there's something different about everybody's opportunities.
There's a number of trans players in my club, and one of them is came under fire for their appearance because they're playing on the women's plus football side, and they looked masculine. And the sport itself is amateur nationwide and globally. Like, there's no prize, there's no money, there's nothing except glory. That's it.
Glory of Ireland.
But like, she was made, like, we were a target of severe transphobia for like a year, and like death threats for a trans woman playing an amateur sport at the lowest division possible.
I think in terms of sport, unifier or divider, it definitely can be both. I am just naturally really hopeful and always looking towards the best in people, and so I really believe sport can unify. And I always think about Mandela and what he created in an environment that could have been so divided. He unified, and so I just see that sport can be, we're always going to have disagreements, and there's always going to be change. I mean, there's one thing guaranteed in the future, and that's change. And so, but sport, at least when you're playing and you're involved and you're hey, let's do this, and you're working with people, you can see the similarities and where you can connect and move forward. And if you focus on that, it's a unifier.
In its ethos, sports is a unifier. However, I also believe in order to unify, you need to have divisions, or the divisions need to be made more visible. Sports cannot not be political, especially when there's so many social issues that actually fuel sports. Sport can also, as I said, is a form of escapism, but also comes down to like the glorification of the people that are playing, which is we want them to set a certain standard, be a specific way, because that is the only source of stability that we have. Like, people go to sport for the consistency.
Just from my personal perspective, which is extremely selfish, I think that sports has been a unifier for me, and I see the potential in where it can unify. However, when we take it outside of myself and into a bigger structure, into the world, we can see how it can quickly divide and marginalize people very, very quickly.
I can see there's a lot of division, and it can be very divisive, but I think on a selfish level, it's been very much the opposite for me. I've met people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I come from a team sporting environment, especially, where you really forge bonds with people that you are very, very different from, but you're sharing a common goal. And I think, there's people I'm not necessarily friends with that I'm very connected to and unified with through that common goal and that shared experience. So I think all in all, it's a good thing.
Yay, sports.
Woo! Drop the mic. Boo. Cut!